episode 23.
Episode 23.
Gary Davis.
Gary damn Davis.
I appreciate you coming on. First of all, you had to drive a long way to get here.
Yeah, well, I used to drive it to work every day. So.
That's true. That's true. But this is different. You're not getting paid for this. You're just getting famous.
I doubt it. But I like to hang out with you. So.
Well, it's only been, 3-4 years? It's been a while.
3 years?
Yeah.
3. Going on 4, yeah.
Well, so I screwed up. The last 2 weeks, I want to apologize. I had 2 guests that backed out on me because of, for whatever reason. It was legit excuses, and I didn't have a backup plan. And I guess that I was so prepared this week that I double booked you and someone else. I had another guy. Both of y'all were literally on the way to the house, and I get my Google notifications popped up and said, Gary Davis Podcast. I was like, oh. Because we haven't talked in like 3 weeks. We scheduled this weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago we scheduled, I think. Or 3.
So I was like, oh, he must have forgot because I haven't heard from him. So I texted you and was like, I guess we both forgot about the podcast. Nope, I'm 10 minutes away. Oh, shit. So anyways, my other guest, we may do it later on this evening or another time this week. He's from Atlanta, so I only have a short window to get him. But I'll get him this week before it's over with. But at least I'll be ahead on my podcast rather than behind.
Yeah.
So there was no way I was going to cancel this one. This one, I've known you forever. I love Junior to death, which y'all meet him on the next one, hopefully. But this was definitely not one we was going to cancel.
Yeah.
So anyways, I could give you a brief history of who you are and what you do. And maybe I'll fill in a few gaps if you tend to forget them. But we are old coworkers from Nissan. Fell in love with you. Had a freaking amazing time. We created a family. And I don't know if you realize that, I kind of tend to do that no matter where I work. I tend to create a family of people, and I just like hanging out with my coworkers. Shit, y'all become my brothers.
I do too, because it makes work a lot better when you can have fun away from work.
I agree. We have these shared experiences.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kayaking, we did a lot of things. Oh, my God, I don't know how many stories we can tell, but there was a lot of fun in between. That's the bad thing. Some of the things that I do with some of my friends, we can't talk on the podcast because I don't want to embarrass my kid. Not that anything's bad. We're not bad people, but you get a bunch of dudes in a bar.
We had some times.
Yes, we did.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah. So, Gary Davis, you are still with us. I want to go into that.
Okay.
But I'd like to, just hear a little bit about you, what you're doing, So,
well,
you've been off work for a minute.
I've been off work for 2 years.
Yep.
I left Nissan in 2018, April 2018. Went to work at UPS doing maintenance. I was there a year and found out I had. Well, I knew I had lung issues
from when we worked together.
Yeah, when we worked together at Nissan. Because
I remember your concern too.
Because I was so afraid it was cancer, and I remember Nathan told me, well, we'll just shave your head. We'll just shave your head and tell everybody you got cancer, and
you were single at the time.
Yeah, and he said all these chicks will feel sorry for you.
We didn't take it that seriously.
No, but anyways, it ended up. It got worse and worse and worse as time.
Well, you had these spots on your lungs.
Yeah, I had these
because you was having trouble going up and down steps.
Yes,
and we knew it was something. I just thought you were a big pussy. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's kind of how we treated it. Well, but I was concerned because I showed it to Rebecca. I was like, Rebecca, what are these? And she did some research, and it was like one of those things that
don't really know.
Nobody knows much about it.
Yeah.
What would you call it?
It's called sarcoidosis.
Sarcoidosis.
Yeah.
Now everybody's Googling that.
Yeah, and there's no known cause.
Oh, now I want to back up. You don't smoke.
No,
You've never smoked.
I used to years and years ago, but I quit a long time ago.
Okay. So you didn't even smoke cigars with us?
No.
You were of the oral tobacco products.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, yes. Which I guess cigarettes would have been oral as well. No, that'd be long. Whatever. Yeah. So just to kind of fill in a few things there. So yeah, wasn't a smoker and just started having these random spots. Doesn't run in your family. Nobody knows much about it.
That's right.
Okay.
There's actually no known cause in the world of it. There's speculations, but they don't really know. Doctors, scientists, whatever.
Yeah.
So like I said, it got worse and worse and worse as the years go by. And
was you treating it? They're just
no, because when I first found out I had it, I went to the doctor. And he put me on steroids for like 3 months. Yep. And then he said, I went back to see him. He said, well, you're good to go. You don't have to come back if you don't want to.
Wow. It was just like a non-issue.
And like for him, it was.
Was he a pulmonologist?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And later on, I found out that it's something that I needed to have regular treatment for.
What was the treatment?
Steroids. Like you can take steroids for the rest of your life
and keep it
keep it, and sometimes it'll go away.
So maybe the moral of the story here is get a second opinion.
Exactly.
Especially if you're not getting better. We know our bodies. Our bodies, or actually I say we know our bodies are constantly, they're a machine and they're constantly saying, hey, this ain't right.
Yeah.
Go to get this checked out. So don't trust a doctor. They're human.
Yeah.
They are fallible.
And this was a doctor in my hometown hospital, so that kind of I should have known better.
Well, your hometown is Hickville. I used to I'll segue into. I talked about riding back roads. We'll get into that, and you're like, dude, I got the back roads.
Back road capital.
It is famous for its back roads.
People actually pay money to go there and ride back roads now in Jeeps.
Okay, so we'll get into that because I've actually had a wonderful experience out there. It's Hickman County.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if we don't shout it out. It might piss off the locals.
Piss on them.
So, anyway, so continue on.
Okay. So, anyways, I'm at work at UPS now, and man, we have a ton of stairs there, and I'm just like about to die. And I ended up I got some more kidney stones because I've had issues with those in the past, and I go to the doctor about the kidney stones, and I tell them my past history, and I go to Vanderbilt this time. I'm smart. I go to Vanderbilt this time. And I tell them my history, and they said, well, you got sarcoidosis? I said, yes. They said, well, that's what's causing your kidney stones right there. And they said, we've got to get you some kind of treatment. Have you been seeing anybody? I said, no. They said, well, I'm going to refer you to a pulmonologist. So I go see this pulmonologist at Vanderbilt. Very, very nice man. I love him to death. He's a great doctor.
What's his name?
Dr. Robert Miller.
Okay. Pulmonologist
at Vanderbilt. If you ever have a problem, go see Dr. Robert Miller.
When it comes to
lungs.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Anyways, he does a bunch of tests on me, breathing tests, things like that. And he said, man, you're like one of the worst I've ever seen. He said, you need to think about taking disability. And I said, do what? I said,
from an x-ray?
No, from all my breathing tests.
Oh, yeah. So it was so restricted.
What that and some CT scans and stuff.
Yeah.
He said, you need to think about in the near future getting on disability because you're not going to be able to work much longer like this.
God, what'd that feel like?
And
I don't want to jump over these things. These are life-changing words. Does it even register? Or do you think it's full of shit?
On my drive home, I was trying to process it because it's about a 45-minute drive home from the hospital. And I'm trying to process this, and I just don't know what to do, what to think. And I go back to work the next day, and I don't tell my employer. I tell my coworkers, and they're like, "Wow, that's heavy. What are you gonna do?" I was like, "I really don't know what to do." So I talked to a couple of my coworkers, and they're like, "Look, your life is more important than this place. You need to do what you need to do for you." So I went ahead and filed for disability and went out on short-term disability. And exactly 1 week after I left work, I started coughing up blood. And I mean, I coughed up and spit up about a water bottle full.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I got to go to the hospital. So I went to the emergency room, and I had an artery leaking in my lung. It was a small, like a branch artery. So they embolized it, which is a little procedure they do.
Just burn it closed or whatever?
Well, they pumped it full of these little beads that go in there and clog it up.
Oh.
Basically, they clogged my artery.
Yeah. Okay.
And they started talking about a lung transplant, and I'm like,
at your local hospital in Hickman County?
No, this was at Vanderbilt.
You went back to Vanderbilt.
I went back to Vanderbilt.
Okay, you give up on the local one.
Yes, definitely. And so I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know how it works, but, whatever. So I went, after they released me from the emergency room and done that little procedure, I went back to see my regular pulmonologist, Dr. Miller, and he mentioned a lung transplant, and I'm like, if you think I need it, I'm all for it, if it'll make me better. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't get a lung transplant, he said, you might as well start picking out funeral plans. He said, I'm telling you right now.
A double lung transplant.
Double lung.
You needed 2 lungs.
So, yeah, both of them. I got both of them.
Yeah. You're breathing through someone else's lungs.
Absolutely.
Is that wild?
No, because they can't even tell. I mean,
Really? Okay, so I want to let you finish your story, and I have this. I did a lot of research on cellular memory.
Yeah.
And anyways, I don't know if you want to go into it, but it's where people literally gain habits and memories of the previous owners.
previous owner.
Yeah. Parts. And I mean, I've read some fascinating stories. Because I have this whole idea about knowledge being passed on from generation to, like our parents. We have we have physical memories of our parents, and we have, we look like our parents. So our DNA, mirrored that, and then we have habits, and then you wonder where all these dreams come and all these ideas, and it could have been our great grandparents. It's called cellular memory. It's how DNA information and memories and ideas, and it's how we know how to go for a tit when we're a baby. Just basic instincts. So, anyways, I read about all these individuals that started gaining new habits and memories of the previous, like I said, owners. The donors, would that be more appropriate?
Yeah.
So do you know who? Is that inappropriate?
Well,
did you get to know the family or anything?
I'll tell you, it's an interesting story on that part. Right after I had my transplant done, I had to stay in Nashville for 3 months. Vanderbilt makes you do that. You've got to stay within 10 minutes.
How long did it take you to get the lungs?
Well,
hold on, we skipped the lung part.
Okay.
Like that's got to be the most terrifying thing ever.
Yeah.
Make your funeral plans if we don't find a way to get you some lungs.
So I started contacting with the transplant team. I started with their process in June of 2019. Mm-hmm. And I went in for my initial testing, and about 2 or 3 days after I'd done all their little tests they wanted me to do, the doctor called me and said, well, you tested positive for nicotine, so we can't. Oh my God. And that's one of the things. You can't have any nicotine in your system for 6 months.
I remember this. I remember you telling me this over the phone.
Yeah, so I had to wait 6 months before I could start the process over again.
It's not a bad standard. Because they don't know if it's cigarettes.
Exactly.
And you're going to abuse someone else's.
That's their policy. They will not. And it's a national-wide policy. They won't give you some lungs if you're just going to ruin them.
Yeah.
What's the point in saving your life if you're going to kill yourself again?
Yep.
So anyways, I waited. And while I'm waiting, man, I had 2 collapsed lungs. One on Thanksgiving Day of 2019, and then one the following January of 2020. And
now it collapsed from the outside, like pleural effusion. Is that where fluid builds up around the lung?
No. It was air. See, it happened from me coughing. I coughed so hard I burst, and my lungs were so worn out and thin that I actually burst the lining of my lungs, and it collapsed.
That's awful.
Oh, it hurt. That's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, is the collapsed lung. They call it a pneumothorax.
Who'd you have around you? Any support at this point? I know you got 2 amazing boys.
Yeah, I had my great aunt. She's pretty much all I got left on my mom's side of the family. Yeah. So she was there with me through the whole thing. And then my dad passed away in 2018, and I had his girlfriend. She was there with me. So she's, they were together for like 14 years. So she's kind of like a second mom to me.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You did have somebody. Because you sure as shit didn't have good friends. I was so freaked out. I was like, let me tell you. I avoid funerals. I don't know what the fuck to say. It's the scariest thing.
What do you say?
I got to tell you, man, I'm glad that you even decided to do this, because you had to feel abandoned. I know we texted like a handful of times, but like it's a bitch move on all your friends, me included, that couldn't find time, couldn't make time. Because I was in your area at Hickman County, and I was thinking, golly, Rebecca, we should come back. I think I talked to you like, hey, can you go ride back roads? You do live really far, though, I will admit. That's kind of a hike. But it was still no excuse. And I hope that I get forgiveness for not coming and visiting you. But I guess in my back of my mind, you're thinking, is it really that serious? I mean, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Very awkward.
It's hard to know.
Did you have that experience? Like a lot of people didn't know what to say, be around?
There was a few that didn't know what to say, and some did know what to say. And then, I don't know. It's
a shitty thing all around.
It really is, especially when they called me to have my transplant with COVID going on. I couldn't have anybody there with me.
Yeah.
So I went through it alone. I was in a hospital for 15 days by myself,
How miserable. Well, you get a lot of time to self-reflect. And
well,
did anything good come of that?
Let me tell you a couple.
Because I'm interested in all this. Because so many people that go through, they talk about this being the greatest thing that ever happened to them, surviving cancer or a car wreck. And I was literally listening to a podcast this morning with Jocko Wilson and Jordan Peterson, and they were talking about experiencing war and yada yada. And I would never trade that for anything, but I would never wish it on anyone else.
Yeah,
and it's just ironic. I was listening to that. It applies to you.
It really does. I mean, this is. I wouldn't want it to happen. If I had it to do over again, I would rather be normal, whatever that is. But I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything right now because
you may not know the impact that it's going to make in your life. You're just now able to start enjoying life again.
It's been almost 11 months, and I'm like,
and then you get lungs and COVID hits.
Like, yeah, ain't that some shit?
How fucking terrifying
Yeah.
was it? Did you watch the news?
A little bit.
I would have avoided the news because they had me convinced I was dying.
Well, see, before my transplant, they actually called me about 2 months before and said, we're putting all transplants on hold because of COVID. And I was like, well, shit, I'm going to fucking die. Well, they called me about, I don't know, 3 weeks or so before my transplant and said, do you want to be put back on the list? I was like,
what kind of stupid-ass question is that?
That's exactly. So, anyways, I go in there and I'm all by myself, which is horrible because my son, my brother took me, but both my sons were with me when my brother dropped me off at the hospital, and they hugged me and cried and cried. They didn't want to let me go. I'm like, look, it's okay, you know. They're like, yeah, but you told us that, Daddy, sometimes that people die in the operating room. I was like, that can happen, but
you done freaked your kids.
I was like, it'll be okay, but.
So this was during COVID, and this is when they wouldn't allow anybody in the hospital.
Exactly.
So what a lonely experience. Were the nurses pretty?
Did
they make up for it?
They were awesome.
Did you flirt with any of them?
Yes, I did.
Did you find some good looking ones?
I did.
They didn't have to be good looking when you're that damn lonely.
No, but one of them, she was awesome.
Yeah. Did you get her number?
No, I should have. But
you should have shaved your head. You might have got
it. My favorite nurse I had, she like when it was time for me to leave and it was like about 3 days before I left, her shift was up and I wouldn't see her no more, and she cried. And she said, you've been the best patient I've ever had. And she like got down on her knees and like held my hand and talked to me, and she cried. I was like, oh my God.
That is sweet. What an amazing, horrifying, but just to have that human connection. Like that's such a rare thing. People spend their whole life and don't make those type of connections with marriage, and
especially a stranger.
Yeah, to be that vulnerable, and
it was awesome.
Wild experience.
It was awesome. But I had a couple of other experiences while I was in the hospital. One of them wasn't that exciting. I just shit myself. And
let's talk about it. I think a few weeks ago we talked about whether if you ever shit yourself, and I asked him. I don't think he's ever like, what is it where you fart and you shit? What's that called?
Sharded.
Yeah. I don't remember if they denied it or whatever. But go ahead. So you shit yourself in the hospital?
And
did you cough and shit yourself?
I was trying to make it to the bathroom because they done had everything out of me, like my IVs and all that.
Is this with your old lungs? This is with Gary's lungs?
No. This was with my new lungs.
And you were breathing on your own?
And it was the day I was going home.
Oh, God. No. We can't skip these. Hold on. You go in for surgery to get these new lungs. Yes. How are you going to skip that? I'll let you tell your story. Okay. We got to come back to this. We got to come back to this.
Well, I'm sitting there for hours. I had to be at the hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, no, you can go ahead and talk about the shitting story.
So,
as long as you remember, I don't care which one you tell. Okay. But I don't want to forget about the lungs or the shitting story. They're both good stories.
I'll go in chronological order.
Okay, let's do that. That'd be much easier.
Yeah.
You know me.
I won't skip around. I won't be like Quentin Tarantino movie, you know?
Well, it's important for me to definitely stay in chronological order. So you go into the hospital during COVID.
I go into the hospital and
by yourself.
They tell me to be at the emergency room at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So I show up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I go in there. I shower, which I took a shower before I left my house, but they made me shower again with this special.
But we still got out of order. You're waiting on lungs for 6 months. What did that feel like?
Oh, it was just. after a while, you're like,
Did you ever lose hope?
oh yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
After a while, it's like I'm not gonna get lungs.
So you never. Okay, so I have to imagine the worst way to possibly die would before fire, before drowning, would be a lung issue. The thought of not being
so.
like you had a hard time breathing.
I
was you on oxygen?
I was
right?
on oxygen.
You know, I imagine that's got to be the worst OCPD or whatever it is, like to suffocate to death.
It was an awful feeling. Like I would wake up at night just gasping for air sometimes.
Did you ever think about like suicide and like I got to get out of this?
You know, I can't lie. The thought crossed my mind, but
That's a hard question to ask. So I don't take that lightly.
But I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it
because your family.
Because of my family. But the thought did cross my mind.
Well, because of the fear.
Because of the fear of not knowing.
Of dying that way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I know I apologize for asking that and to be blunt, but I think it's
well.
Like,
I mean,
people want to know
serious.
How scary is it?
It's serious because. Like the doctors ask you that too. Do you have suicidal thoughts? And I'm like, okay. And I have to be honest with them.
I'm not morbid for.
And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's natural.
Yeah.
You know, I can't help it. It just.
Well, that's about the lowest you could possibly go.
Yeah.
To have a thought like that. So,
yeah.
God. Okay, so you spend 6 months, no word on lungs. You wait to get tested. You pass your nicotine. I imagine that was the easiest time you ever.
I passed that little test, but they ran me for 2, maybe 3 weeks. I had to go in every single day it was 3 weeks. I had to go in every single day for 3 weeks, and I did x-rays, CAT scans, blood tests. They done a cath on my heart, MRI on my brain, MRI on my lungs. I can't even remember how many tests, but it was 3 weeks solid of every day I had to go in.
Just to see if you were a good candidate.
Yeah,
make sure they didn't make any mistakes.
And to make sure that I had no underlying health problems besides, fucked up lungs.
Good to know they're thorough, I guess. I mean, it's scary if you're the one
They're
tested.
Very thorough.
So overall, you're pretty healthy other than that little issue. You passed everything.
Yep, I passed everything.
So did they have lungs on standby? Is that lungs something that's easy to come by?
Not really.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
And it depends. There's a lot of factors. It depends on, like, if you're waiting on a kidney, for some reason, kidneys are really hard to get. And kidneys don't have to fit. Like, your blood type is pretty much all they look for. They don't have to fit a certain size. Lungs, it's got to be your blood type. It has to fit in your chest cavity, not only lengthways, but width. So they have to find somebody that was a good candidate. That was dimensionally plus blood type.
Yeah. Okay, so you're sitting around waiting on that. What was that like, and how long did that take?
Was
that during the?
I actually got put on the waiting list February the 5th. I remember because it was my brother's birthday, and it was May the 19th, or May the 18th, 19th. It was right at midnight when they called me. And told me that they had a set of lungs.
Oh, my God. How exciting was that?
Oh, my God. I was sitting there watching TV and eating a Subway sandwich.
Yeah.
And they said, always keep your phone charged and on and answer any number you don't know because it's not going to be a number you'll recognize. And it wasn't. It was some weird number.
How does that conversation go? Hello, Mr. Davis. We've got some lungs for you.
That's exactly what she said. That is to the word.
Well, you know how great her job is to call people up to say, hey.
It's got to make her feel good, whoever she was.
Oh, my God. Imagine getting tired of doing that. I got 14 people I got to call tonight, tell them they're going to live. Is it like any job that you get tired of? My God. But go ahead. Okay, so anyways, your experience with your Subway sandwich, and you got new lungs on the way.
So I get this call, and she tells me to be at the hospital at 3 o'clock. I'm like, cool, I'll be there. So I get dropped off at the hospital, and like I said, I wait for hours and hours. They tell me my surgery is going to be at like 9:30 in the morning. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally about 9 o'clock, they come and get me, and they take me to the pre-op area, and I'm sitting in there, and they, work on me, and I already had one IV in, but for some reason they added like 2 more. But my surgery, they didn't come get me until like 12 o'clock, lunchtime, to go in the operating room, and all I remember is waking up.
Okay.
From
so
there.
they put you to sleep.
Put
with
me to
IV,
sleep.
and you woke up.
I woke up.
What was your first thought when you realized what was happening? Was you on a machine? Was there tubes?
They had a ventilator in me, and I don't know how long I was on that ventilator after they got me out of surgery, but all I remember is this nurse come in there, or doctor, whoever it was, and was like, all right, we got to get this ventilator out of you. And they were trying to pull it out, and they couldn't get it out. All right, I got to go get help. And they had me on such strong painkillers that it seemed like that particular process repeated itself 10 times over.
Really?
Like it was a running loop.
Yeah, you were in. Okay.
And it was like deja vu. It was so weird. But finally they pulled the ventilator out, and it was just like, wow, this is.
You realized you were breathing.
Yeah, I was breathing on my own with somebody else's lungs.
Was it effortless?
And yeah, it was something else.
What an incredible
Now they still had to put me on oxygen, just until I got going. I was on oxygen for about the first 2 days.
Well, oh my God, I'm imagining this muscle that they've rewired to your neurological signals. It's fast. God, that's even hard to wrap your head around. If you spend any time thinking about that, and I guess the oxygen helps it for maybe don't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
You don't have to struggle.
Yeah, it
gives your
helps
body
it.
a little time to adapt.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. So you got lungs. That's incredible.
Yep. And then I go, I'm in the surgical ICU. They take me out of the surgical ICU after about the first 2 days, and they put me in what they call a step-down unit, which is where you'll be at until you go home.
Yeah.
And they told me, yeah, if you do good, you can get out of here in about 10 days. I was like, awesome. I hope it's 10 days. Well, I was in the step-down unit for a day, and they've got chest tubes. I had 6 chest tubes in me that help pull out fluids, and they're on a vacuum suction, so it helps the lungs adhere to the chest wall. And one of my chest tubes kept putting out a whole bunch of blood, like fresh blood, and they were worried about it. And they got me up walking me every day. Well, I was out on one of my walks, and I got back to my room, and there's like a shitload of doctors in my room, and I'm like, what's going on in here? They're like, we got to get him to surgery right now.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, you've got a massive bleed inside your chest wall cavity. We've got to open you back up and fix it. I was like, oh.
Is that where they attach? Like, well, it doesn't matter.
Like an artery or a vein or something,
Yeah.
just...
In your chest wall cavity, is that where they opened you up to do the surgery? Okay.
And, something just didn't get attached right.
Yeah.
When they were putting me back together. And that happens. It's very common.
You suing them?
No. Just kidding. I'm praising them is what I am,
kidding, I'm kidding. It's a joke. Some people would have sued over that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they rushed me back into surgery, and which is a good thing that the bleeding was happening, that they knew to open me back up, because while they were in there, they found a blood clot.
Really?
But it was caused because of all that bleeding.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they fixed those two, and that was a setback, because they had to open me back up. They had to go and break my,
Torso.
open my chest back open, my ribs and all that. So then I
What do you think, Brennan? You didn't know this was part of the conversation, now, did you? I didn't tell him anything. I wanted him to have the experience. Like, I didn't prepare him at all. So go ahead. Yeah, they get you back together. They hoping you have to get you back together, fix all this.
So I'm doing okay. I'm back in ICU, of course. I'm back in ICU for just a few hours, and they're constantly checking my blood. Like every couple of hours, they're drawing my blood and sending it to the lab just to check different levels of things, whatever. So I'm back in ICU for just a few hours, and they come back and say, well, you're, what was it? My sodium had bottomed out, and my sodium was way too high, and my potassium had bottomed out. So they're like, we got to go in and do a procedure to try to fix this. So they take me back into a daggone surgery room, a surgical suite, and they put a PICC line in my neck.
Really?
You know what a PICC line is, where it goes into
straight into your artery?
It goes pretty much straight into your heart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they put this PICC line in my neck, which was...
Because that's what regulates your heartbeat.
Yes.
Your potassium and...
If your potassium gets too high, it can cause a heart attack. If it gets too low, it can cause your heart to stop.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
So anyways, they do that, and that's another setback. And I get done with that, and they take me back into ICU, and they've got me on an epidural of... I can't even remember what it was. It was good stuff. I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. And this is a fun story right here. While I'm in ICU... the second time after all this stuff, I'm trying to sleep one night, and I didn't know it at the time, but I start hallucinating, and I see somebody. Oh, this is awesome! You're gonna love this. I start seeing somebody coming in and out of my room, and they're coming in through the window. I didn't know I was on the 5th fucking floor, but
they were going in and
they
out.
were going in and out my window.
They getting something?
No, they were.
Were they interacting with you?
Yeah, like fucking with me, throwing stuff at me.
Yeah.
And I can laugh at this now. One guy was hiding in my bathroom.
So it's multiple people. It's not the same guy.
It's multiple people.
Okay.
One guy's boyfriends in my mind, in my delusional mind. It's one of the nurse's boyfriends, and they come in there and start having sex on my bed while I'm asleep. And they leave my room, and then the one's still in the bathroom, and I'm hollering at him. I'm like, come on out. Come on out of my bathroom. Get out of there. And I was like, if you don't come out right now, I'm calling the cops.
So was this a dream or a hallucination?
It was a hallucination. It was not a dream.
You were awake?
I was awake.
Could you interact with people? That was real?
Yeah, if they would have been in there.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And so I'm telling this guy, come on out of my bathroom. If you don't come out right now, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah.
He didn't come out, so I got my phone, and I was hallucinating, but I had sense enough to call Metro's, not the 911 number, but the other one that you hear on the radio, all the time.
You have a memory that could memorize
it's 862-8600.
Oh, my goodness. I can't believe you memorized that.
So I call that number, and they're like, can I help you? And I tell them, hey, I'm a patient at Vanderbilt. These people are coming in my room, and they're harassing me, and they're having sex on my bed. I said, I need somebody up here now. And they're like, yeah, okay, sir, we'll send somebody up there. So, Vanderbilt has their own police department, and they are just like Metro. They can arrest you, on Vanderbilt property.
I think you have experience with it.
Yes, I did.
We'll go into that story maybe. Yes. Okay, we'll get into that story later.
So they call Vanderbilt police, and Vanderbilt police show up in my room, and they interrogate me and stuff and want to know what's going on. And I tell them the same story. And
so you are awake.
And the nurse that I accuse of doing all this comes in there to talk to me, and I tell her, I said, look, I forgive you. Just please don't do this again. I said, you know what you did. I know what you did. Just I'll let it go, please. And I can hear them out in the hallway. My door's open. They're out there. The cop said, I think y'all need to take him to the psychiatric hospital. And they're like, no, we can't. He's a transplant patient. He's real critical. But anyway.
Did they also say he's on some serious drugs?
Yes.
Was the guy still in the bathroom the whole time you was trying to get out?
Yeah, I told the cop, I said, go look, he's in there. And I said, they've been crawling in and out my window. And the cop said, you're on the 5th floor, right? And I said, but I've been seeing them. And I said, I know they're in here.
Yeah.
And after they all left and everything, I didn't until several days later when they pulled my epidural out.
Oh.
After I called the cops, and they were sitting outside my hospital room window, revving. They were driving a big Dodge Ram, big hillbilly truck, and they were sitting out there revving their truck up and hollering at me and cussing me. And I could look out my window and see them. That's how bad I was hallucinating.
Wow.
And when they
you need to stay away from psychedelics.
Probably.
If you ever have the opportunity, just pass them up.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So they took my epidural out a couple of days later, and I was fine after that.
Yeah.
But the whole nursing staff that was there when it happened, they requested not to be not to, be over me. So I got a whole group of new nurses in the ICU.
Wow. Well, they have to have experience with stuff like that.
You would think so.
Yeah, they couldn't have been too surprised.
But then when I went back to a step-down unit, like the day before I went home, one of my nurses come in there from there, or no, it's one of my doctors. She said, so I understand you had a little episode the other night. And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm kind of embarrassed. She said, hey, it happens all the time.
Oh, okay.
She said, more often than you would think, actually. Yeah. And I said, but I'm still embarrassed. I never thought that would ever happen to me.
I'm thinking about having security walk me to the parking lot just so these dudes in this black Dodge don't come after me.
That's right.
Oh, God.
But then after that was the day before I went home. The day I went home is when I shit myself. That was terrible. It was like everywhere, all over, from my bed to the bathroom, because I was trying to get to the bathroom.
And you just couldn't control it.
No, I couldn't hold it.
Well, nobody's going to make fun of you there.
But, God, them nurses had to, I felt like a little baby. They stripped me down butt naked and scrubbed me down.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, but you were alive. You had somebody else's lungs.
Now, that part felt good.
Yeah.
The being alive part.
And so you have hope at this point. Okay, I've got this. Now I just got to take care of them, and it's be a slow recovery.
Yeah.
You accepted all that, I'm sure.
And they tell me, and they still tell me that within your first 30 days, first 90 days, that everybody has some kind of rejection, which is very common. And usually you just come back to the hospital and they can adjust your meds or whatever. But knock on wood, I have not had... Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's a little loud.
It was. That's cool.
I have not had any signs of rejection. I've not had any complications.
Well, you did. You had enough little complications in the beginning, but you're out there. And now it's been good.
So everything's been good. It's been...
I feel like it's been a fast recovery for you.
Yeah.
Did the lungs take pretty quick? You feel like you can get a good breath? I'm sure you've had to exercise and...
Yeah,
I'm sure you have to breathe through a machine that lets you know where you're at.
I've got a spirometry handheld. Yeah.
So what percentage would you think you're at?
When I go to the last hospital appointment I had, it was 82% of predicted measurement.
That's probably good, huh?
Oh, it's excellent.
Okay.
It's excellent.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I still feel like I need more. I've got a treadmill at home, and I still feel like I need to do more and more and more to get to where I want to be. But
well, you're off for that long.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't. We were out here playing ball today because I was out for forever with my shoulder, and I realized, I'm just the fat piece of shit because I didn't do anything for almost a year.
Yeah.
And I was literally thinking today, I need a gym membership. I need to do something because the body's just not meant to set.
I had a gym membership. I had to go to therapy when I got out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't required, but I did go, and I went for, I got out of the hospital in June, and I went until September. And then after, that was when my insurance ran out in September on my, not ran out.
Oh, okay.
That's when my benefits for, therapy ran out.
Yeah. Hope you had some good insurance during that time.
I've got awesome insurance.
UPS?
Yeah. Didn't cost me a dime.
Really?
I've got a $200 deductible.
What?
And
my deductible wasn't that good.
Once my deductible was met,
100%
paid.
That is incredible. Dude, I met my deductible twice. I literally met my deductible by December. And I was like, I could get my surgery done in December. There was enough time. And I was like, look, this seems irresponsible. It may be more complicated than we think. Let's wait till January to do the surgery because I knew I was going to have to meet my deductible again.
Yeah.
I just knew. I was like, all right, we'll start all over. So, I waited till January, met my deductible twice. It's the first time in my life I've ever had to meet a deductible. But after that, it's 100% paid. It was expensive, $4,000. It wound up meeting my whole family deductible. I guess it's $2,700 or whatever. I don't know. It's expensive. Well, that's incredible insurance. 100% paid. Wow.
That's part of the reason I left Nissan was because of the benefits. I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
So
we can go into that. Give me a minute. We'll get into that if you want to. Yeah. I need to grab something to drink.
Yes.
Well, Brennan, what'd you think about that story?
It was crazy. I feel like I can't breathe. This thing
That was crazy. Holy shit. I've been dying to hear it for a long time. I've been thinking this whole time, when Gary gets good enough, I want to bring him on the podcast. Let him tell that story. going to be one of the most incredible stories I've personally ever heard, and I thought it'd be really cool to document it too.
Yeah, like how many people do you know personally that's ever had something like that done? I don't know anybody, but me, you know, before me, I didn't know anybody.
I don't think I know anybody that survived. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't know anybody. Golly.
You know, before I had the transplant, the doctors all told me, you know, are you sure you want to do this because you're trading one set of problems for another? I'm like, yeah, I want to do this.
What do they mean by that?
Well, I have to take medicine for the rest of my life.
So?
And
Why do you have to have medicine?
Anti-rejection medicine.
So the lungs don't reject?
Yeah.
So your body don't reject the lungs?
Yeah.
So that's a thing, huh?
Yeah. And
what kind of medication is that?
It's called Prograf is what I'm on.
Yeah.
And there's another one that's called the generic or the generic name is mycophenolate. The name brand, I guess, is Celcept. That's my two anti-rejection. One is for cellular rejection, and the other one keeps from donor-specific antibodies, which is a type of rejection.
So we can't it ain't just plug and play.
No.
Okay. That goes for all human anatomy, I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay.
And
I didn't realize that.
Also
who wouldn't accept that responsibility?
And also I have to take prednisone. That's another one that I have to take. But the Prograf causes my kidney functions to be abnormal, so I really have to watch what I eat, watch what I drink, you know. Well, I guess that's the problems they're talking about.
Yeah.
It also causes my potassium to be at an elevated level, so I can't eat. I mean, I can eat things that have potassium in them, but I really have to watch, like potatoes, tomatoes, bananas, avocados. I have to limit, and beans. I have to limit on how much of that kind of stuff I eat.
Okay.
So.
Well, still, it's worth it.
Oh, hell yeah, it's worth it.
I bet your boys are excited.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told them just the other day, we were in Gatlinburg last week, and I told them we were riding through the mountains. I said, do y'all realize that right now, if I wouldn't have had a lung transplant, I'd probably be dead?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah.
You think you'll ever take it for granted? I mean, we're humans, and we have a habit of doing that. It's hard to...
I hope I don't.
It's hard to... Like, being grateful requires you to, like, be forced in a situation.
It requires you to be humbled to be grateful.
Yeah, and when life becomes so easy, we tend to just forget how blessed we are and how.
Right now, I'm not. I hope I don't ever get that way. Because before my lung transplant, it humbled me bad. I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom and back to my living room without being exhausted. Like, I mean, my legs about to fall out from under me. I couldn't breathe. Just from a short little trip to, take a piss.
It'll give you an idea of what it's going to feel like to be 90.
Yeah. And I mean,
that sounds miserable.
And I couldn't do anything, man. My boys had to do everything. I couldn't lift nothing. Like, I describe it as my body was eating itself.
Yeah.
It was because I had no.
Well, it's designed to do.
There's no oxygen to feed muscles and to feed your blood, so your body consumes itself to feed itself.
Yeah, and it's designed to kill itself too.
Yeah.
If I truly believe that if you're not productive, if you're not a productive member of society, the body's designed to shut down and to make way for new life. That's what your human cells are designed to do.
Yeah.
And when a cell stops producing, when it turns itself into ketones. It gets absorbed. But if it refuses to do that, it turns into cancer.
Yeah.
And diabetes.
And
your
whole body just, like, when you're sick like I was, your whole body does that and starts shutting down. Itself. And I mean, man, I was down to 150 pounds.
Wow,
I mean,
you've definitely put it back on. You've eaten a lot of Subway sandwiches.
I'm about 190 right now.
Yeah,
so
good for you.
I feel great. I mean, I would like to lose a little weight, but
you look good.
But I'm grateful to not be a skin and bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my therapists told me when I was in that therapy, he said that he read an article that every day you set, it takes a day of recovery, a day to get back what you lost.
An object in motion tends to stay in motion, and I believe the opposite is true.
Yeah.
An object sitting still on its ass is difficult to get up and move again. It's funny. So I had surgery on my right shoulder, and I'd acquired really bad carpal tunnel in both hands because it's in my sleep. It's not mechanical or electrical. Because if it was going to be anything, it'd be my right hand from screwdrivers and masturbation, without a doubt. My left hand doesn't get abused. So, anyways, I had it in both hands, and it was the way I sleep. I guess I tucked my wrists under my under my chin, and so from not being able to use this arm for 6 months straight, I did everything on my left hand, shift gears with my left hand, drive, everything, and now this arm is completely healed, 0 carpal tunnel. It was the worst. Now this one has absorbed all the problems that this because I had to use this arm for everything. It's like I've reversed carpal tunnel. But now it's so bad in this hand because I had to compensate. My point is that the body can heal itself if you don't overuse it. But at the same time, I don't know if that made any sense. But look, not doing anything is also terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I was talking about not going to. I need to go to the gym. I fucking hate the gym, man.
I know.
But I'm 44. I have a responsibility to be a productive member of society. Going out and throwing a baseball. Like, if you don't feel like doing something, it's hard to get up and do something. Mm-hmm. So I thought, I can make a sacrifice. I can get back in, get to moving my joints, just some basic shit, and man, I'll be on top of it in no time.
You know, when I don't feel like doing something, you know what I tell myself?
What?
Motherfucker, you can do it now. You couldn't do it before. Get up.
No excuses.
And I get up and do it.
Okay, so you people that get to do this, they think, well, if I ever had another chance, I would do this and this and this and this. So what is most important to you now? We can move on from your fancy new lungs, and I'd like to talk about what the plan is moving forward, like, because I feel like, I mean, we can get into life and how unbelievable it is that any of us exist, that we ever had a chance to take our first breath if we want to, but to have this weird blessing of, I think I'm going to die. I'm pretty convinced I'm not going to make it, but if I do get a chance, if Lord, I'm sure you prayed a lot, Lord, if you give me another chance, I promise I won't squander this life. Work is not going to be the money, work, possessions. What is most valuable to you now that you've lived through this?
Life itself. I mean, just.
But how do you define that? Like, what do you think? What did you, when you were thinking you were going to die and you thought, if I get another chance, I really regret not investing here. I focused too much energy here and I should have invested it here. I have to imagine your boys.
My boys,
relationships.
That's the biggest part is my boys. And what I said before I had my transplant, I said, I just want to live to see my boys graduate high school.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy. But of course now, since I've had it, I'm like, that's not enough now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my oldest boy's graduating this year. Well, and my youngest one's a sophomore. So I'll probably see both of them.
Yeah. So where do you plan on investing your efforts? You're going back to work.
I'm going back to work. That's just a thing.
That's exciting.
I mean, it is
back
exciting.
In society.
It is exciting, but it's just a thing.
It's not going to be your primary.
I put my love life on hold. I haven't tried to date or nothing like that in over 2 years because I knew I was sick, and I thought, nobody's. I'm not going to do that to somebody. I'm not going to be. It would be selfish for me because
that's responsible.
What if I would have invested time with somebody and I would have died?
Yeah. Well, and not only that, what if you lived for years and this burden?
Like I was, yeah.
Exactly.
So
I agree. I think you did the right thing. Now, if you was already in a relationship, that's different.
It'd be different, but I've been single
to look for someone to lean on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think now I'm going to try to, I'm not going to like go out and look, but I'm going to be more serious about.
You're going to reintroduce yourself back into the sexual marketplace.
Probably.
Yeah. You got to get out there. That's how you're going to increase your SMV.
Yeah.
Your sexual market value.
Yeah.
It's up there. That's what it is. We live in the sexual marketplace, the SMP, and the way we do better is by increasing our SMV, our sexual market value. And we do that by, number one, being able to communicate, having a job, right? Not being a burden on society.
Yes.
Being funny, that helps you. Any little thing you do that makes you likable increases your sexual market value.
I agree.
I mean, a Porsche, I guess, helps, but it's not important.
Well,
charisma is much more powerful than
I can't afford a Porsche.
It's irrelevant. It's just good conversation, making people laugh, getting out there, living life, living effing life.
LIVIN.
That's it. Hey, have you read his new book?
No, I haven't.
Do yourself a favor. Green Lights. I got it.
I've
you
been
want to borrow the book?
I've been meaning. No, I don't want to borrow it because.
Well, download. I recommend the. It's called Green Lights, by the way. If you're one of
I'm shitty about returning stuff.
Well, yeah.
I'll just buy it. I'll buy it off Amazon.
Do you do Audible?
No, I'm old school. I like hardback.
I do too. I got the book too, but some of the books I like to listen to it. I don't have an imagination to where I can and I'm not saying it's got characters. It's his life, but his voice.
Yeah, I know.
And his personality brings the book to life. And it's a story about his life. It's his whole life. And
did you see his latest movie that came out about 2 years ago, I guess?
Well, after I finished the book, I kind of binge watched McConaughey. I went on a love fest with McConaughey.
I love that. He's one of my favorite actors.
He is incredible.
He's awesome.
He's the same person in the movies, like the characters he's created for these movies. And I don't want to make this bromance about McConaughey. This is about me and you, not McConaughey. But what was the movie? And I'll tell you.
Moondog.
Moondog.
You never heard of that?
How did I miss that?
That was his latest movie. It came out about 2 years ago. It wasn't a big hit in theaters.
Yeah. Was it kind of like Mud? Like that kind of...
A little bit. Mud's one of my favorite.
I love Mud. Yeah.
I love it.
So what's Moondog about?
So Moondog is a character played by Matthew McConaughey, which is also the name of the movie. He's a famous poet. He lives in Key West. He's a famous poet. Mega rich. Everybody thinks he's got money, but his wife is the one that's got the money. She lives in Miami. He lives in Key West, like a total beach bum. Like, just lays around on the beach, gets high, gets drunk, and his best friend is Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
And his wife ends up dying, and he gets all the money, and money don't mean shit to him. He don't give a shit. The only thing he cared about money was that he was fine that his wife was taken care of. Mm-hmm. When she died and he got all the money, I think she died. But anyways, he got all the money that she had, and he put it out on. It was like $60 million. And when at the lawyer's office, they were going to give him a check. He was like, "No, I want cash." So he gets $60 million cash and goes out on this sailboat out in the not far off the shore there in Key West, and he just burns that motherfucker to the ground and swims back to the shore, and he's just watching it burn and laughing and smoking a joint.
Well, I like that. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with money. I don't, but I don't have much respect for it. I wished I could be more like that.
Yeah,
but it really doesn't matter. We're in a consumer world.
Exactly.
And I love capitalism. So I believe in balance, yin yang, and I don't know if this is a segue to get into that. And by the way, I'm going to watch the movie. I'm excited about it because I'm kind of there. I kind of said
it's a fantasy.
Well, I'm not there, by the way.
It's a huge fantasy movie to you're like, I wish I could live like that. Like, not a care in the world.
I follow people that have lived for years and have not exchanged a dollar for years. They've dedicated their life to not exchanging money just to see if they could do it, to barter. I think bartering was a really healthy way of doing things. I think we had a much healthier system when we traded, bartered, invested, community, tribes. Everybody talks about, that's tribalistic. Well, that's a good thing in my opinion. I mean, I think we were at our happiest. Matter of fact, I'm reading a new book. This one right here. The Fourth Turning. It's a great book. The Fourth Turning. We can go into it a little bit. But why did I bring up the book? It was something about tribalism. Oh, it's basically about I guess you could say American history, and it's the cycles that we run through. And a cycle for a society is about the length of one human life. And this is what they've determined based on history. So about 80 to 100 years is the cycle, especially for the United States. We are in our 14th generation, which would be the millennials. And a matter of fact, the term millennial was coined in this book in 1997. The two guys that wrote it, Hal and something else. The other guy's dead. So they coined the phrase millennials. They gave the name to this newest generation. And but they break it down. And so a cycle is about 80 years. And within that 80 years, there's 4 generations that are born. And the cycle is, you know how mankind is. We love a good story. Mm-hmm. And every good story has really 3 parts. But it starts with conflict, climax, and resolution. It looks like that. It's like a triangle. And we do that cycle over and over and over. If a good book, if a good movie doesn't have a conflict that allows for a climax and then a resolution, that's kind of the way we tell stories. And so you see YouTubers and celebrities, and we build them up. We love to build somebody up to tear it down. We just do that. Yeah. As a species, that's kind of what we do. I don't know why. We love the underdog, and then when they're at the top, we love to tear down the top.
Yes,
it's really fascinating. I see these YouTube celebrities that'll get built up just to get tore down. It's incredible. So anyways, the last cycle started about World War II. It was the Great Depression, World War II. And they've estimated that was about the right time, too, because the way society was going, they were, it was easy to predict why the Great Depression happened and then the fall. It wasn't really the fall, but the fall of that, what would it be? That cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, it was at its peak and it fell. The Roaring 20s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so in 97, they finished the book and predicted what the next cycle was going to look like. We are now in the fourth turning. They were talking about what the fourth turning would look like. And oh my God, I don't believe in prophecies. I guess I could. I don't like to take prophecies too seriously. The guy on the street, end of world's coming.
Yeah.
Like, no. But I love history. And we're taught to learn from our history.
Yeah, because it repeats itself.
Over and over. So I was like, okay, I've been trying to find people to interview, just talk to. My grandmother's 92. I've been finding other people in their 90s, but then I realized they don't have any experience with what, and this is the reason why I realized we're not good at learning from our mistakes, because it's generational. And not generational, well, you could say it's generational. It's how we forget, because there's no one alive that had experience before the last cycle. And that's the reason why it's the length of a human life, because we have no one to communicate with that's seen the Roaring 20s. They'd be 130 years old, 120 years old. So that's why we keep repeating the cycle over and over, because there's no one alive that says, hey guys, we've been here. I've seen this. I know what our Roaring 20s looks like. Like, they would be so old. So the next cycles they predicted would end around 2025, 2028, somewhere around that, which we're right there. They said it would start in 2005, 2008. Well, those years were the War on Terror and the collapse.
Yeah.
And then we dumped $23 trillion in since then. But it was pretty accurate. And then they talked about, it's like, I think us as a civilization, have you ever been on a ball team?
When I was a kid, yes.
Do you remember being the guy, was you ever the kid on the bench, or was you the all-star?
I wasn't the all-star per se, but I never rode the bench.
I've been on both sides.
I never rode the bench.
Well, I have. I've been on both.
I did when I was 5 years old and I played t-ball. I rode the bench because I sucked.
Well, I think we all suck at something. I use baseball as an example. When the team starts doing really, really good and they're up by 15 points, then they believe in equality all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Let's make this fair.
They bring in the shitty kid.
Yeah. And so that seems to be how society does. As things tend to get better, we start becoming more equal. We start giving in more and say, oh, you know what? Let's let women vote. That's a good thing. African-American rights, homosexual rights, transgender, like we just keep going because times are so good. We live in damn near a utopia right now. It's pretty incredible. But then all the hostility, like everybody's lost their purpose. Because after a collapse, everyone has a unified purpose, survival.
Yeah.
We have a common goal. We're going to protect. This is most important. Y'all sit on the bench for a second. We're going to win this game, right? And so so the millennials will be what they say the heroes of the next cycle, because the millennials are the ones that would either fight or, I don't know what the collapse look like. I don't know how bad it's going to be, but we know there's going to be a cycle. It's happened since the beginning of human civilization, and we are in I forget how many cycles we've been through that they can track. But it was really an incredible book. I've enjoyed it. I guess I was saying that this beer, by the way, makes me burp like crazy. I should drink whiskey. I probably shouldn't drink it all.
Well, you can join my club. I can't drink.
Well, that's not a bad thing. I'm measuring my alcohol consumption, and I know it's an indication of my life choices. Like that, I don't drink because I have an addiction to it. Like a physical dependency. I drink because it makes me funnier.
Absolutely.
No, it just makes things more interesting. I understand why alcohol. It's a really good stress reliever. But why am I stressed? Well, bad choices. So that's why I've shut down a lot of my video work, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to start reducing alcohol, right? There's nothing wrong with it, but it can become something. I like to drink during the show too, because it loosens me up, and most of the time people on the show want a few drinks, and so I'd already started because I thought my other guest, was going to be drinking. So if I hadn't already started, I'd have probably just switched to water. But anyways, I don't know if you want to go into that book. But yeah, I don't want to get depressing. Actually, I got really excited because I've been preparing for a while. Matter of fact, I built my entire business on the next recession, which hasn't happened. I've been like preparing for it literally for years. It's coming, it's going to happen. And for whatever reason, you can blame it on Trump. For a minute there was for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into it, but it just hasn't happened. And, but I was starting to prepare, it's my age, it's our age group that sees the signs. We've seen it go from one extreme, like my grandfather was, World War II vet, Korean War. So those were the hard ones. You could say they were the millennials of their day. Like, they went from the roaring 20s where times were fucking good and everybody was pampered. And in a way, I would imagine if someone was alive today, they would say they were a little entitled because that's what happens. Well, we condition people to expect something, and that expectation leads to entitlement. And that's just when things are good.
And then they took away their alcohol, and the Great Depression hit right after.
Yeah. But if there was somebody alive today, they would be saying... So what I'm saying is I'm old enough to remember what hard men look like. Mm-hmm. Men that really went through some crazy shit. So the saying, I think it may be in the book, wherever I heard it, but the saying says, hard times make strong men. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. And that's the cycle. And that tends to be the way it goes. When we get it too good, we take it for granted and we start thinking. It goes from this. After a collapse, it's about us. Togetherness. Yep. We're one tribe.
Well, I mean, if you look at 9/11.
Yeah,
when that happened, we were all together.
Do you know how many people have no memory of that?
A lot.
Exactly.
Both of my sons weren't even born.
Yeah.
They read about it in history books. We lived it.
And, and that's nothing compared to the Black Plague.
Yeah, I know.
World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, golly. I mean, we haven't seen nothing in our
Vietnam.
lifetime. Vietnam. Well, that was another. So that's a whole nother cycle that they talk about in the book. I was going somewhere with that. Hard man, the collapse. Let's see. What was I trying to say with that? I can't remember where I was going with that. But it was about, good men make great times make weak men. Weak men. And this ain't men. They said men. They used men as a reference. It was during the time that it was mankind. Yeah. But now women and men, people. It's people. People are doing this. And when we've seen it, we get trophies for nothing. And it's just, okay, so we are fighting over it. Everyone is fighting over who's right, who's wrong. But the reality is it's part of the organism. It's part of this thing called life. It's the cycles that we go through. These aren't, so people think the rapture is about to happen. People think it's the end of time. You know what I mean? People think, oh my God, the signs. That's why we go through these cycles over and over and over. But it's human nature to build something up, to tear it right down. And once I realized that, I stopped living so much in fear and thinking, oh my God, the end of time's about to happen. Now we got a better chance of a meteor destroying this than us. I think it'll collapse. A few billion people will probably starve to death because we live in a just-in-time service. Yep. Our technology will be our downfall, and I think that just-in-time services will contribute to that. But it's competition, it's economics, it's capitalism, it's what works. Well, but the side effect to it's going to be drastic.
Look what happened on Christmas morning there in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the effect that had. On technology, you're talking about technology would be our downfall.
Yep.
I didn't have a cell phone for 4 days. I had nothing. No internet, no cell phone for 4 days, which didn't bother me. Yep. Me and you grew up in the age where we didn't have such luxuries growing up. But kids these days, I could just imagine how they were just...
Not even just kids. I will say people these days.
Well, yeah, people...
I'm still dependent, and I hate that about it.
A lot of people are dependent, grown people, but...
Well, I'm trying to go to a flip phone, but I can't do it. But go ahead. But yeah.
Like teenagers, oh my God.
Well, we give them shit, though. We give them shit. Okay, and this is what I've learned about the book.
Give them shit, but they have embraced the technology, and they're going to be the ones to use it more than we would ever imagine.
Yes. And it's just the way it is. And it's something I've really realized from the book. And I notice parents, every generation of parents kind of talk shit to their kids. Right?
Yep.
You don't know how bad I had it.
Yeah.
I had to walk to school both ways uphill in the snow with barefoot. And I realize every generation that is alive has had it better than every generation before them. So
Yep.
they were living in the greatest time. No matter where you were existed, unless you lived in a horrifying time of, I don't know what it was like to live in, the atomic, what was it? When we were at Cold War, during the Cold War, the missile crisis. I have no idea how terrifying that was for the baby boomers.
That's probably terrifying.
Yeah, to have to get under desks. So I can't relate. I have no empathy for it. And so I don't pretend, I don't judge anyone anymore. Because we just... So there was two things with that. It's like we as parents try to talk shit to our kids because they've got it so good. Well, you had it good too. You had it better than your parents.
Yes.
And it's part of it. We should be proud of that. Okay, so I was listening to Jocko Wilson today talking about world champion chess player Magnus. You know what I'm talking about? This kid that's great. Well, okay, he was being compared to another world champion chess player that's probably like 60 years old. I forget the guy's name. I'm not a chess follower. But they were saying the reason why Magnus is so much better than this chess player, it's not because his brain is better or he's smarter. It's because everything this world champion did, I forget his name, I'm sorry, was documented. And so Magnus comes along as a kid, can read all these moves. He can see, he gets to walk off, he gets to start on the shoulders of the previous generation.
Yeah.
So yes, it's not fair, and it shouldn't be fair, but that's society. We should build on top of each other, not saying, I'm better than that motherfucker was. It's like people comparing Michael Jordan and I don't watch
LeBron
basketball.
James.
Look, it's not the same thing.
No.
These books, some of them are someone's life's work, consolidated down to one book. Something that took them 30 years to interpret and discover. These are discoveries.
Yeah.
I'm not more intelligent because I know it now. No, I'm working off their hard work, And I think if we could just learn to give credit and not be the fucking victims all the time. We as a species want to be, oh God, I don't go barefooted. And shut up, man. You probably had a pair of shoes that you refused to put on because it was just more convenient. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So anyways, I rant about that shit all the time, and because I think society's problems is parental problems. Anyway.
That brings me to a good point. You asked me earlier, what are some of the things that I've...
what are you going to do different?
Yeah, judging people is... I don't do that anymore. And I used to be
if you do, you don't do it. I mean, I don't know if you can turn it off.
It's hard to turn
I think we
off.
used to consciously do it.
Yes.
But
now I think about it.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
just...
doing that too. I think it may be our age too, but yeah, you're probably at another level.
And like my kids, I used to just constantly they're into TikTok and, stuff I'm not into.
You used to talk shit about it.
And I used to, but now I'm just like, you know what? When I was a kid, I think the same thing. When I was a kid, my dad and my mom, they used, what the hell are you doing? What is that shit?
Yeah, and we as parents have got to start saying, just be a little more. I ain't saying let your kids go and make mistakes in technology. We should observe it. Maybe just kind of talk to them about it. And saying, is this really healthy? Do we mean to manage it? But not talk shit to them. Because it just, okay, so have you ever heard of cognitive dissonance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know what that is. It's how you can believe in two crazy things and they're conflicting ideas and you suffer from denial. And I think when you attack someone, when you attack someone's beliefs, you're attacking... their core values and stuff. Anyways, it causes people to shut down and they're not going to share with you. So the kids can be like, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
So I think that's an experiment that I've tried really with my kids is being more open rather than I don't judge them anymore. And if I do judge them, I hope they talk shit to me and say, you said we're not supposed to judge. Or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hope they remind me. Because, something I've been saying for a long time is we are unaware of the mistakes we make until someone that has been affected by it brings it to our attention.
Yeah.
So people, not necessarily that work for you or that you're responsible for, but we kind of go through life not knowing this mistake. We're like, oh my God, I do that.
It's like the insurance commercial where the guy's trying to keep you from becoming your parents. It's like
I haven't seen it. I don't have TV like that.
Okay, well, there's this commercial. Yeah, I don't remember what insurance company it is, and it don't matter. But this guy's like, he's holding seminars how to keep you from becoming your parents, and all these people are like, they're in a hardware store, and this guy walks by with blue hair, and he's like, yes, we seen it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And one of the guys standing there, he goes, he's got blue hair.
Yeah.
He just had to say, something.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like that, I'm constantly, lecturing myself,
Yeah.
don't do this, don't say that, who cares what that guy looks like or what he's wearing.
Well, and that's where this book really kind of explains that. And what it is, it's people looking for purpose.
Yeah.
That's where social justice warriors come from. That's where Antifa and all these organizations, they're looking for something to believe in, something that provides meaning and purpose. And when times are good, that's very difficult to find. But when there's no electricity and there's no food, right? When times are hard and you're building a tank to go fight some foreign war, or you're defending your own land, well, it's really easy to have purpose.
Yeah.
It's stay alive, protect your family. But as we rebuild and we do better as a society, things get easier and easier and easier, and it's harder and harder and harder to find something that provides value. And that's all it is. It's a bunch of lost people. Okay, so I recently read something called A Letter to Garcia, a message to Garcia. And it was about President McKinley wrote a letter to General Garcia, and this is like the late 1800s. And General Garcia was on the island of Cuba. It was a jungle, somewhere in the jungle. And he gives this letter to some colonel, lieutenant, whatever it is. His name was Roman. I don't remember his rank. Gives him this letter and said, "Get this to Garcia. He's in Cuba." And Roman, "Yes, sir." He never said, "Well, where's he at? Who is Garcia? How do I get there? How do I find him?" Like he didn't go into anything. He just said, "Okay, yes, sir. I'll get it done." And that's initiative on a level that is incomprehensible. Because if I asked the average person to go get a book off a shelf or to do any task, that we're like, well, how am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to get that? We're so entitled. We expect things, but we expect it and we're entitled because our employer, our parents, our elders conditioned us to be like that. And so I was reading, and the whole moral of the story was about having more initiative. You should have more initiative. That's kind of the message of the story. But I didn't get that at all. What I realized is people are just going to be people. Mm-hmm. The message to me was, we need more McKinleys. We need more people sending messages to Garcia, challenging people. People want to be challenged. People want direction. They want to be told this is the right way. That's how these insane, what would they be? What was a Charles Manson? These
the cult leaders.
Cult leaders. Yeah, that's how these people can, because people are so lost. They just want purpose.
Yeah.
And if you have a good message and you're a pretty good salesman, you can get people to follow you. It's very dangerous.
I've watched several shows on cults, and it's phenomenal.
Well, people don't understand how that can happen.
It happens very slowly.
Yeah.
A little at a time, and then it just gets out of control.
But the people they target, and I don't even know if they're targeting. I think these people believe the message they're saying. I tell you this, if you believe what you're saying, if you know and believe what you're saying, and you say it with something called conviction, that is one of the most powerful things you can do to communicate.
Yes.
You will make people, if you can look at someone in their eyes and you have conviction when you're articulating this idea you have, people want to be a part of it.
Well, I mean, look at David Koresh. He believed he was Jesus Christ, and he made people believe that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Our society's full of that. But he wasn't. He believed. He wasn't making it up. He wasn't trying to take advantage and manipulate. I don't think any of these leaders do. They get this God complex. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter why. I'm saying if you wonder why people follow that, it's because they are lost. Everybody is lost. They're looking for McKinley to say, get this letter to Garcia, right? Challenge them. Have you not been the happiest when you accomplished a goal?
Oh, yes.
That's when the body
makes
releases.
You feel like you've done something.
Because the body's releasing, the reward system's releasing serotonin or dopamine.
It's like at work when you fix something or build something from scratch. It's like, I did that. Look.
Yes.
It makes you feel good.
Now, when my boss or whoever it is, my superior says, go get this. I need you to make something for this. Figure out why this is happening. I can do that. Right? That's the natural reaction. Because we're lazy. We have been conditioned to expect someone else to do it right? So we're trying to figure out why there's all this conflict and everybody's afraid to even give someone a challenge. Like supervisors are afraid to have someone do something because they're afraid they'll go to HR. He's singling me out. You know what I mean? He's taking advantage of me.
Yeah.
But because society's so easy, it will have to collapse. But what I'm saying is if it's not about expecting. The whole thing right there is about expectations. The whole painting is about expectations. We can't expect people to be Roman. But what we can do as leaders, and all of us are, if you have children, if you have influence over another human being, you're in a leadership role. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a responsibility as a society to write more letters and send them to Garcia. Challenge people, hold them accountable, right? Mm-hmm. And they may resist and they may not want to do it, but here, get it done. You are opening them up to be goal-oriented. You're setting them up to get their own hit of dopamine and serotonin. Like, does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I do it to my kids all the time.
Yeah, I realize I'm not doing it enough.
I tell mine to do stuff all the time, and they look at me like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." I'm like, "Well, get it done."
Well, this is where I fail a lot, and as a father, I'm always experimenting, but I'm always second guessing myself and feeling like I'm making a mistake. I'm not. It's not about being hard on your kids. I don't expect people to understand this, but we have an instinct about us about being hard on our children.
Yeah.
Because people need natural hurdles in life, something to overcome. And I think I don't do it enough. I think I make things too easy for my kids, and so I'm constantly in that battle because I want to be nice. I want to make it easy for them. But that's my own self-satisfaction. That's my own trying to buy. Does that make sense? That's my own. It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that's something I struggle with, and we talk about it openly. Constantly we're talking about, I think I'm messing up here. I think I want to help you fix your Jeep, but it's irresponsible. Like if you can, look, I can come over there and show you how to do it, but I'm robbing you of the opportunity to build something called, what would it be called? It starts with a confidence.
Yeah.
And you can't buy it. You can't teach it. You can't buy experience. You can't buy knowledge. You can't buy confidence. You can't give it to someone. You can give them an opportunity to be challenged and people say all the time, oh, you got to think outside the box. And I always say, well, what box? There shouldn't even be a box. It's infinite possibilities. Just tell them to do it. And God, Brennan, do you agree that when because I want to go over there and I see him struggling and I want to be like, the boat goes there. God, it is so fucking hard.
Oh,
We
I
know, like, we have a habit of doing this, and I'll let you answer, Brennan. But in society, we have a habit of saying, do you know how this thing works? Do you know about this? Oh, no, let me tell you. Well, look, we didn't give fucking people a chance to even respond because our ego is so big that we want to give the answer.
You know, I used to work with a guy.
What?
It's been almost an hour and a half, just saying.
Okay. He reminds me of our time. That's his job. Hey, can you answer my question? What was we talking about?
Letting them figure things out, giving them confidence.
Yeah, what do you think about this? Do you agree this is something I'm constantly struggling with?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you'll try to tell me something, and it's like, nope, you'll figure it out. Because every time you tell me, I don't learn anything. But when I figure it out, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's hard. It's so I've conditioned them to expect me.
Like my oldest son used to get mad at me because he'd be like, "Daddy, you have never taught me how to work on this." I'm like, wait till it tears up and you will figure out how to work on that. And he'll go out there and mess with it. He's like, I can't figure it out. I'm like, you need to go down there and think about, how this thing works, how it might come apart and what might be inside. I said, and there's also a thing called YouTube, and you can look at things on there.
People have a problem with YouTube. I believe the beauty of YouTube, it doesn't necessarily show you how to do it as much as it does give you the confidence to attempt it yourself.
Exactly.
And that's really the beauty of YouTube.
And now my son's almost 18, and he's at the point where now if something tears up, he'll just fix it.
Well, that's really rare. It's really rare. But it's in the stage in which we're in the fourth turning. That's why it's rare.
Yeah.
If this collapses, we'll be back to fixing shit ourselves. I think we as parents, the mistake we're making is when we criticize or we patronize. Can't fix that.
That's a huge
What is wrong with you?
mistake.
Yeah, we say this is where parents do wrong. It took you 4 tries. I did it in 1. So I just watched a movie, and I know I've recently talked about this. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but I was just watching a movie, Coming Back to America. You ever seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Eddie Murphy, his son he's going to be a prince. You got to accomplish these 4 things. And the 4th thing was snipping the whiskers of a lion. And he's like, well, God, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? It's crazy. And he's like, how many tries did it take it? I did it once. Bullshit. We like to glorify. We love to remember ourselves as the quarterback.
Yep.
When we were sitting in the stands with all the other fucking booger eaters, right? We didn't have the talent. But you know what I mean? We didn't have that gift. But we like to remember that we were a legend. And we tell our children that. This lie. And, I'm not saying... I'm saying be honest. Like, it was hard for me. It was the scariest fucking thing I've ever done. And to be honest with you, it was a lot of fear, a lot of luck, but I did it. And I think that's the beauty of it, is doing something that's scary as fuck and trying over and over and over until you get those whiskers.
Yep.
That's the secret. Don't tell them it was easy for you, because you make them feel inadequate. Does that make sense? And I don't think this is just about leadership with our kids. I think this is leadership in...
They'll always feel inferior
in every world.
to you.
Yes.
Like they're always trying to live up to you.
Yeah, if you're in a hierarchy of any kind, I don't care if you work for an attorney's office, a grocery store, you stock boy, you work in maintenance, a hospital, we have got to create an environment to where people
I believe they call that term browbeating.
Yes.
If you browbeat your kids, then they'll just constantly...
Well, you know what the excuse is? Well, that's the way it was done to me.
Exactly. That's what you all...
We have to break that fucking cycle. We have to start breaking that cycle. That's how society evolves.
Yeah.
Each cycle, right, each 80-year cycle, we do learn from the previous. That's why we're sitting here having this conversation with this amazing technology and air conditioning, because we've learned through each cycle, and we say, hey, you know what, guys? We fucked up there. Let's document this. Like, this is where we started making it way too easy. Fuck, we gave trophies to that little son of a bitch. Don't do that no more. Like, we learn. We're evolving. People want to blame someone. They want to blame the left or the right. There's only 2 choices.
Yep.
There's someone to blame. And if you don't agree with me, then you're on that side. If we only understood that we agreed on 90-something% of everything, but we focus on the things we don't agree on.
Yes, we do.
And that's what I hope we learn in the next cycle, that we're like, hey, guys, we put too much effort. We were suffering from cognitive dissonance. Somebody in there?
Yeah.
We suffer from that. And anyways, these are where I'm at. And I guess I'm excited about the next cycle. It's like, I think, oh my God, it's even going to be better.
Hopefully.
But that terrifies people. People, mortality freaks people out. Like me coming to visit you. That would have been scary. Someone that's younger than me, healthy, you know what I mean? Dealing with all this. My God, damn, I don't want to think about death right now. Scary.
It is. I'm not going to lie. It's scary. But you just get to a certain point, though, where you're just like, I don't even care anymore.
I think I'm getting closer to that. Like, I feel that I'm at the point.
When I was sick, I used to lay there and go, you know what? I think I'll go to sleep now, and I hope I don't wake up. I had those thoughts a lot just because I hurt. Yeah. Physically hurt and felt bad. But
you're still here, though.
I'm still here. Still kicking like a chicken.
And you say, so you're just coming out of it. I would like to have this conversation again in 5 years, when you have a new relationship, a new outlook on life, and you've had a time to process it, because you're still experiencing this process. You're not out of it yet.
No.
So until you get comfortable again, you're like, okay, so life is normal again.
You know, we're still in the middle of COVID right now, and like, I can't go anywhere. I mean, I can't go to restaurants. You know, if I want something to eat, I have to get it to go. Yeah. You know, just.
You are at a risk.
A high risk, because all my drugs that keep me from rejecting also suppress my immune system. That's how they that's how they work.
Yep.
So
well, you better have a lot of fucking fun between now and death.
I'm telling you.
What are you gonna do? What's fun? What are you looking forward to doing? I know you're gonna get back in the dating.
I don't know. Recently I just went to Gatlinburg and I hiked in the mountains 5.5 miles.
Really?
In the mountains to Abrams Falls. That was awesome. Yeah. I've not been able to do that in years.
Yeah.
Because I've been so sick. So
you should go hike the Appalachian Trail.
I thought about that. You know, that would be awesome to do one day, but the only problem would be is it takes 6 months, and there's no way that I could buy 6 months worth of medication and take it with me.
No, you have it mailed to you. I'm telling you, it's all mapped out. You know every place that you can stop, and people can mail you.
And then another problem is I couldn't take 6 months off of work to do that.
I know.
And I got to have insurance. That's the big thing now.
I know.
So, but trust me, I've thought, how cool would that be?
Once you get your kids grown, and they're on their own, then you can start worrying about you.
I will.
A little bit more.
I will right now. But, my oldest is almost 18. My youngest is 16. They both work. So they're kind of on their own a little bit. They don't ask me for money anymore.
Yeah,
which is
good.
Which is great. And let me tell you, I always thought my ex-wife was pretty stupid. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, she never was good in school. She, I just married her because she was pretty.
Yeah, well, that's normal.
She has pulled off the most phenomenal move, and I thought it was the brightest thing in the world. And I told my kids, I said, you make sure and tell your mom that I never would have thought of that. It's the smartest thing in the world. I pay child support, a lot of child support every month.
Mm-hmm, I remember.
An ass load. Oh, it went up even more.
I almost died.
Yeah.
You're still charging me. Oh, my God.
Luckily, it's almost over.
Yeah.
But what she did is she went and got 2 small credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
She gives one to each of my sons. And they use that credit card for whatever they need. Food, gas, clothes.
Credit.
And that's it's in her name. She's building her credit.
Oh.
Because her credit never was really good. Everything was in my name when we were married.
Credit, yeah.
So what she's doing is she's letting them use the credit card to buy things, and then she's taking child support money and paying that off, the balance. Mm-hmm. I think that's the smartest thing in the world for her to build her credit.
Yeah.
I told my kids, I said,
that's what it takes, revolving credit.
I said, that is so smart.
Well, she can put them on the credit cards.
That's what she's going to do.
And it'll build their credit. I don't know, though, that credit is good for a young person.
Yeah, because I had it when I was young, and
yeah, but then again, I don't know
crazy.
if it's good for old people either. Maybe if you get out of your system young, you're like, okay, I don't like being in debt. I killed my score. Now I have to work to get that back. And I did that too.
That's what happened to me.
You know what? That's a good point. I think I had credit way too young, which actually ended up being a benefit because I kind of ruined my credit. A few late payments, you don't think much about it.
I did too, trust me.
And so now I'm really cautious with the things that I've got going.
I am too. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to buy a house. I've got my credit up.
I thought you had a house.
I do. I inherited my dad's house when he passed away. Yeah. Me and my brother lived there.
Is that your childhood house?
We moved in when I was 14. Okay. My grandfather built the house, so yeah.
You gonna sell it?
No. Oh, my brother's gonna stay there.
Oh, okay, cool.
So me and him lived together, but with my condition, with my new lungs and all this, the house is old, it's dusty, and I just want to get something new that I can be healthier in.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do.
Need to move somewhere that's got good air. Tennessee's pretty rough on a set of lungs.
I know it.
What are you thinking? You thought about moving yet?
I have thought about it, but
who's got the best air?
I'm not going to do it until my boys are grown. Yeah.
Makes sense. You'll never do it because even when they grow, they'll have grandkids.
I know.
Yeah. Man, I was wanting to tell a story or let you tell it, but I'd be putting you on the spot.
I know exactly what story.
I got to tell this story
because
the first time we ever met, I almost didn't believe it. I thought this motherfucker is full of shit. And I fell in love with you. I was joking about that because I actually did believe you, but I bitch is crazy. So you have a felony.
2
of them.
Yeah.
Oh, from the same time, or did you do something else since then?
Same time.
Okay.
And I almost had a DUI.
No, you did have a DUI. Got out of it.
It got reduced.
So I'll tell you that story first. So we go on St. Patty's Day a long time ago, and I had a sailboat at the time, so I didn't have to drive back and forth. I had a sailboat. We could just stay on the sailboat because it was down there. We can just take taxis and be responsible. So I'm asleep on my sailboat at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I get. Oh, I didn't even get the text messages until the next morning. I seen that they came through. And I wake up the next morning and see all these messages that were hard to interpret. And apparently it was because you were typing behind your back.
I was in handcuffs. And
in the back of a patrol car.
That was the easy part. The hard part was getting the phone out of my pocket while I was handcuffed behind my back.
So you're in the back of a patrol car, which is cramped. Your handcuffs behind you. You figure out a way. I'm trying to do this, by the way. I have no idea. Are you a contortionist?
Like I could cut my eyes and just barely see my phone enough to like.
But you were drunk.
Oh yeah.
So that made it easier.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel a bunch of pain.
Yeah.
So you're probably bleeding at the wrists. You've dislocated a shoulder, right, to get this thing over here. And you get this phone out, and you're texting people for what? To come bail you out? You're still in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was hammered myself.
I knew I was going. That's why. People.
So I apologize for not responding. I was asleep. But, yeah, the next day I realized, Gary got arrested. It's St. Patty's Day. That's a fun night, though.
It was an awesome night. Got my first gay bar experience. That was
incredible.
That was so much fun. That was probably the best bar I've ever been to. I mean, it was so fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The drag show.
Yeah. Yeah, a country boy from Hickman County fit right in.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
So I want to tell the story. I'll let you tell the story. So when I met you, one of the first stories, I don't know if I got out of you or how it came up, but I'm an inquisitive guy. You know, I want to get to know my new coworkers because you was new. You was new on the shift. I don't know, was this? What do we work? Third shift?
Third shift.
And you told this incredible story, and I may have to fill in a few holes because I remembered it maybe a little bit more theatrically than you're going to tell it. Because in my mind, you come in guns a-blazing, and bah, 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 you shooting sideways.
It was guns blazing.
Yes.
It was definitely...
I hate that we have to tell us in the end of the story, but go ahead.
Well,
do you mind telling it?
I don't mind telling it.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it is
part of
what
life.
it is. Part of life.
Yep.
It's my past. I can't change it.
Yep.
Okay.
You were young.
So, yeah, I was young. 23, 4 anyways. So I was married. My wife was running around on me. Mm-hmm. She got with this guy that she worked with, and she was seeing him, whatever. Well, me and her had gotten into it.
Y'all separated.
We separated. She was living with her mother. I was still living in our house. Mm-hmm. So I go over. She calls me to come over. I go over to see her. We have sex, whatever. And she says something about that guy, and for whatever reason, it pissed me off.
Yeah.
So I go outside and I kick the fuck out of the side of her car, and her mom's neighbor calls the cops.
I don't blame you. That'd piss me off, though. After having this romantic experience,
yeah, because I
would word it rather than just having sex.
I thought she wants to get back together, you know.
Yeah.
But whatever. So I go to jail for domestic violence because I kicked her car. Yeah. Which is stupid.
Yeah.
12-hour hold. I get out 12 hours later. I try to call her, can't get a hold of her because at this point I haven't seen my kids in like 2 days. And what we were doing at the time when we were split up, she would have them one day, I would have them the next. So every other day. So I hadn't seen my kids in like 2 days. So I call her, can't get a hold of her, and I end up calling her mom. And her mom answers the phone. She's like, yeah, well, I know you don't want to hear this, but she didn't come home. And I said, okay, well, you call her. She'll answer for you. You call her and beg for her to let me see my kids. That's all I want. So she calls her up. And, of course, she did. She answered for her mom. And they talk, and I'm like, here, let me talk to her. So I get on the phone and talk to her, and she's like, no, you're not going to see your kids. You know, I got too much shit to do, blah, 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 whatever. And at this point, the guy she's messing around with gets on the phone. And his exact words were, hey, buddy, let me tell you something. As long as I'm around, you're never going to see your fucking kids again. Yeah. And I said, that's it. So I
believe I would have reacted the exact same way.
So I drove home. And so it wasn't about, a lot of people think it's about, I shot this son of a bitch because.
Don't jump out of the chronological order.
I go home, I get my pistol, and I told my mother-in-law, I said, you tell me where the motherfucker lives right now.
Your mother-in-law loves you, by the way. I remember you bought her a recliner.
She loved me.
You've done a lot for her,
even
to this day. I mean, like the last time we were together, like hanging out.
Yeah, she ended up passing away.
Oh, okay.
I was still working at Nissan. She got cancer and died. But anyways, yeah, she loved me to death. She always called me her only son-in-law. She said, you're like a blood son to me. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so I go home after she tells me where he lives. I go home and get my pistol.
What'd you have? Tell me what. 38?
A little Taurus 38 special, snub nose.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Wasn't good for shit, but shooting somebody from here to there.
It definitely wasn't good for shooting across the room.
No.
Okay.
So I go over there, and I remember the first thing I did is I knocked on the door with I pistol whipped the fucking door. It was glass, and I remember cracking the fucking, and I was like, And I thought to myself, that wasn't good enough. So I rear back and kick the fuck out of the door. And this door comes flying open. And when it flies open, I see
this a trailer?
Yeah,
it's like those flimsy-ass trailer
it's
doors?
a little shitty, like 70s model single-wide trailer.
Yeah.
So I kick this motherfucker open, and first thing I see is him standing in the kitchen. And I just draw the pistol, and I'm so mad I don't even think to aim. I just draw this fucking pistol, and I just start popping off caps. And this motherfucker runs down the hallway of this trailer towards his bedroom.
Yeah.
And I don't see him anymore. And I'm standing there in the fucking hallway and in the living room, like right inside the front door. And I'm so like pissed off that I don't know what to do. In my hand, I'm like holding the gun down by my side, and my finger's still on the trigger. I'm so fucking mad. I pull the trigger and shoot into the floor right beside my foot. And I'm like, God damn, that could have been my foot. Well, then this dude's stepdad comes out of the bedroom, and he said, hey, you get out of my house with that shit. And I put the gun right in his face, and I said, best thing you can do is go back where you come from. I'll shoot your fucking ass too. I didn't have any bullets, but that's what I told him.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, all right, I'm gone.
Now, you end up hitting the guy, right?
I hit
Grazing him?
I hit him in his left arm.
Okay.
And it went plumb through his upper part of his left arm. And when he was running, it came out and fucking hit him in the wrist.
So you shot him?
I got a 2-for-1 on that bitch.
Oh, God.
So
this is Hickman County, though.
Yeah.
Just so people know, this is a different way of life. You're a different person.
Well, I'm a different person now
You
than
still
I
do
am
it again,
then.
though.
I don't know if I would or not.
Not now?
I don't know if I would or not.
I don't know. You're being faced with not being able to see your boys. I tell you, you would never want to get between me and my boys.
But you know, a lot of people think I done it because she was cheating on me.
Yeah. I mean, that may have pissed you off, but then a man get on there and say you ain't going to see your fucking kids?
He said, as long as I'm around, I'm going to make sure your ass ain't around.
Yeah.
You know? So, anyway, Did
you leave?
I left and went back home. And
you just went home and wait for the cops to come get you. You knew this coming.
I knew they was coming.
Did you know he was going to survive? Did you
I
even know he was hit?
I did not know he was hit, and I didn't know anything.
Yeah, you just know he was running.
So
last time you seen him.
So I go home. My brother's best friend is a detective for the sheriff's department. So he calls me. He's like, hey, they're parked at the end of my driveway, long driveway. You need to come on out. And I'm like, Jimmy, I'm not coming out. I'm sorry. I'm not coming out. So then this other detective calls me, and he gets me on the phone. And, you know, me and him's talking. He's like, look, we got the SWAT team on the way. I said, yeah, I ain't got no fucking SWAT team. It's Hickman County. He goes, son, we have a SWAT team. I said, and he said, they're on the way. I said, well, when they come through this door, I'm shooting every one of them motherfuckers too. 'Cause I was still mad, you know. But anyways, he talked me down. And I got the whole experience of what you see on TV where they're like, get on the fucking ground, you know.
Was there any flashbangs?
No, there was no
flashbangs.
flashbangs.
No damn SWAT team then.
So, no, it was a state trooper.
They was lighting firecrackers?
It was a state, yeah.
M80s.
It was a state trooper that had his pistol drawn on me, and he's like, get on the fucking ground, which was terrible because I had to get on my gravel driveway on my knees, which hurt. And
you know, you remember things like that because your senses are at their highest level. And I hear that people can remember smells and like little intricate details because it's life or death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you remembering the damn gravels. But then again, you're kind of a pissy motherfucker anyway. And I can hear you, but the gravels hurt.
Yeah. That's what I told him. I said, this shit hurts.
Go ahead.
But they, of course, you know, they haul me off to jail, and I go through the whole, you know, what you see on TV, the interrogation and with the detectives and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here like, man, I don't know what's going to happen. They tell me that I did hit him and he's going to live. And I'm like, okay.
Damn.
I do feel better about my sentence, maybe. I don't know. So I sat in jail for a year. My dad hires a lawyer for me. Because if not, I would have had one of those public defenders and I'd have been really screwed.
Yeah.
So he hires a lawyer, and I'm in jail for exactly 1 year to the day before I go.
That's about all they can hold you in jail.
And sign my plea agreement.
Yeah.
So I go sign this plea agreement, and they're like, my lawyer comes in to talk to me. He's like, well, I had him talked into 8 years, but his family's out there raising hell, and they won't do anything less than 10. He's like, so you sign it now or you go to trial and you're going to be fucked. I'm telling you. Okay. So I signed 10 years at 30%, which means
what age were you?
23 or 4.
25, 23 years old. You're facing 10 years.
Yeah.
Luckily, the guy didn't die.
Luckily.
You're a shitty aim when you're upset.
Luckily.
Snub nose.
Luckily.
And he was in a 12-foot wide trailer, so he couldn't have been more than 12 feet from you.
Yeah.
So you are a shitty shot.
So anyways, I signed the plea agreement, and I'm like, man, here I go. I'm going straight to state prison, you know. But the sheriff that we have, I went to high school with his daughter, and me and her were real good friends, and we used to smoke pot together and skip school together. Like, not just me and her. It was like me and her and a whole group of people.
Whoever thought pot would have bailed you out?
So,
like having experiences with weed. See,
exactly.
Dad, it paid off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I never would have smoked pot with her.
Yeah.
But her dad was the sheriff, and she talked to her dad, and, you know, he's such a really good guy. So they kept me around at the jail and made me a trustee. And, dude, I worked my way up through the trustee ranks. You know, I was washing dishes, cooking, washing clothes, and I finally made it to the best job they have. I also worked out on the city garbage truck, the city maintenance, public works crew. Done all kind of shitty jobs after I become trustee. But then I got the primo, which was the sheriff's secretary. I was her errand boy, which they call it the courier job. The jail and the courthouse were like 2 blocks from each other, so I got to courier paperwork back and forth from the courthouse to the jail. And I got to go to the post office, which was about 2 miles away every day. I could go to the grocery store, the little gas station down the block. I could go there anytime I wanted.
So they gave you an opportunity.
They gave me an opportunity. And because of that opportunity, I ended up making parole my first time. And I did awesome, man. I was on parole almost my whole entire rest of my time. And me and her got back together when I got out of jail, believe it or not. Actually, while I was still in jail, we worked things out.
That probably turned her on. You'd be willing to go over and shoot a man.
Maybe so. But we ended up finally calling it quits in 2012. And we had a falling out, and it was a custody thing. And I called her up, and I wasn't very happy. And I told her, you know, I said, I'm just going to hire a lawyer, and I'm going to try to get full custody because I'm tired of this shit. She said, well, I'll just do what I've got to do, and hung up on me. And I was like, what does that mean? Well, about 5 minutes later, I get a call from a sheriff's deputy. But she done called them and said I threatened her and her new boyfriend after we split up.
Oh, my God. I remember this.
So... And also, she went down to the courthouse and filled out one of those restraining order things, whatever they call them.
Are y'all still friends at any kind? Y'all even communicate at all?
Does
she feel guilty about this?
We get along, but her new husband don't allow her to talk to me because he don't like me.
Okay, but does she feel guilty at all?
Yes, she does.
Oh,
very.
That's okay.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah. But she took out one of those orders.
But she said,
me.
"I'll do what I got to do."
Yeah. And
well, that's a mother bear.
Well, they violated my parole, and I had to do I had 18 months left to do, and I fucking went back to jail. Had to go in front of the parole board, and the parole board fucking shot me down. They could have turned around and re-released me. They shot me down and said, do the rest of your time. I was like, fuck. So the lady that was in charge of the jail, they done built a new jail since I was in. Last time it was like an old Mayberry jail built in the 50s. It was awesome as shit. Because
I hear him giggling the whole time.
As a trustee, I could just come and go as I pleased. Yeah. You know, I wasn't behind bars when I was a trustee.
That's the benefit of being in the county.
Yeah,
that far in the county.
So when I went back to jail, the woman that was in charge was just a regular like jailer type person at the old jail, but like me and her, like I was her favorite person. Me and her bullshitted constantly. Like we got along great. So when she was in charge, she found out I was back in there, and I wasn't even like, this was before I went in front of the parole board. She said, I want to put you back to work. I'm going to make you a trustee. I was like, awesome. Let's do it. And when you're a trustee, like every day you work, they knock a day off your sentence. It's called two for one work.
Yeah.
So I squashed that 18 months and down to 9.
Yeah.
And that's my going to jail story besides the
damn good one.
The DUI one.
I'm so glad you're alive long enough. You just had a few bad luck. You're like, look, man, people get away with more shit. Wrong time, wrong place. Nothing wrong with you. So many people. Well, I can tell you this. There's a lot of people that wouldn't go over there and put a man down that threatened to keep his kids away.
Yeah, they would
That's just, in my opinion. Look, I don't care what society you live in. You are not going to tell me.
Exactly.
Especially when I've been a good father. And that's totally different.
Yeah.
I can get it for an abusive parent, but no, you got to stand up for what's right. And
I felt like that's what I was doing.
Well, you know what? I have never thought about it until right now. But if your kids have any idea, like if they could ever comprehend and interpret what you are willing to sacrifice, to have them. I know it seems counterintuitive to try to kill a man to try to keep the kids. Like it's just like it's piss. Like you got to defend what's right and wrong, And so I think I've been around you so many times. I think when I really started, if I could say this in the appropriate way, falling in love, hanging around you, like being your friend, was the interaction with you and your boys. It was so authentic.
Yeah,
it was genuine, authentic. They had personalities. They weren't. It wasn't the old mentality, speak when spoken to. Like they were little shitheads.
Well, see,
I loved them.
I've always had this idea of raising my kids. I don't shelter them. Mm-mm. Sheltered kids, when they're old enough to get on their own, they do dumb shit and go wild. I let mine. I don't say I let them do anything they want, but I don't shelter them. From a young age, I've let them talk how they want to talk, but they know better. They don't go out in public and cuss.
No, they treated you with respect.
They treat me with respect.
They treat me with respect.
Yes.
They were looking for the edge. When they would be around me, I interacted with them in a way that I would talk shit.
Yep.
Because I like to fuck with people. And they were attempting to find that boundary, that edge. It's like animalistic instincts to becoming a man.
They react well to that.
Oh, my God. They're going to be fine in society.
Oh, yeah.
Society won't even know what to do with these two little redheaded shitheads. I mean, they have their confidence. You've developed their confidence. You've given them opportunities to interact. It's you can't describe it. It's like something that happens naturally. And I bet you I learned a lot instinctively by being around you and your boys and saying, well, here they are. He lets his kids cuss, right? That's a.
I mean, I don't tell them to. Like,
no. They didn't. It wasn't obnoxious.
Yeah.
But they also know how important it is to be respectful.
Yes.
But that's like this beautiful dance between talking shit and then also, okay, I didn't mean nothing by that. So, anyways, I always thought it was beautiful. You guys always had a really incredible relationship. And your interaction with your boys, I always thought it was beautiful.
We still do. We have an awesome relationship.
Yeah, I always knew that. I think that's one reason I really took to you and I really liked you. Because if you're going to judge a man or a woman, but I don't speak for women, I only want to be judged on the offspring that I've produced. Fuck the money that I've made and the careers and the accolades. Just look at my kids. And look, a lot of people ain't going to like to hear this because, if they do fuck up, I feel that I fucked up.
Yeah.
I can't help that. So I take it very seriously. But I think the secret is being open, honest, I don't know. I think that's maybe a good place to close.
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much for being on and being transparent.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have any idea what this would be like?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've watched plenty of podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But being on
one's a little different, but I mean
I have not seen you.
I mean, it's me and you have talked to each other like
I know, but I haven't seen you in 4 years.
But
3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but we picked up like it's been a day.
I'm gifted in that way.
Yeah, you are a gifted son of a bitch.
Oh, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking. It's why I think you. So I was talking. I think it was to Dakota today. We were talking about. I'm always trying to justify why I'm doing a podcast. I'm nobody. I don't have a big audience. But I think it's important because it's important to me because I'm making new discoveries. I'm learning from people. And then I'm also giving normal people an opportunity to tell their story. And I think that's important. I can't relate to celebrities that have podcasts. Like, that's not normal.
It's not
normal. How do you listen to a Navy SEAL?
Because they're talking about their celebrity experiences, and we don't.
Can't relate to that.
We can't relate to that.
It don't even have to be celebrity. Jocko Wilson. I brought him up like 4 times today.
Yeah.
But I've avoided listening to Jocko Wilson because I knew I'd fall in love with him. I knew his message was good, and I thought, God, I'm so involved in so many different things. I don't have time to invest, because I like to really invest in something and really follow it. And I thought, God, I know he's going to be incredible. Well, he was on a podcast of one of my favorites, Jordan Peterson, and I listened to the podcast, and of course, I was right. I loved it because I've had a lot of encouragement. You got to listen to Jocko Wilkins. And I was thinking about it today. I thought, that's unrelatable. I cannot relate with Jocko Wilkins. I cannot say his fucking name, but the ambition that this guy had to achieve what he achieved. It's not, we look at him as a celebrity now, but it's because of his ambition and him in the Navy SEALs. But I learned so much just listening. But then I was talking to Dakota today, I was like, I think everybody should interact on camera in front of a microphone, talk to their neighbors, talk to their friends, and start documenting things, because conversations are different when you record them. And I think that normal people are fascinating because, I don't know, I'm a normal guy. And I think that may be attractive because I'm attracted to hearing how normal dads, watching you interact with your children, is how I can connect. I cannot connect with a Navy SEAL. I don't have that. I don't. When I was 12, I thought I could be a Navy SEAL. No, I struggled through basic training, right? Because, and I'm not built that way, and I accept that. I'm good in other ways.
Let me tell you a podcast that you would like. Probably.
Okay.
You know who Bert Kreischer is, the comedian?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a podcast with 2 of his friends that are just regular, not celebrities. It's amazing.
Oh, that does sound interesting.
Bert Kreischer is amazing. Anyway, like
he tries not to be a celebrity.
Yeah, that's what makes him so interesting.
Yeah.
Like, his comedy is just stories of what he does every day in his life.
And it's true.
And it's so funny.
Yeah, okay, I might give that a chance. I'm so invested with the fourth turning right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not a doomsday prepper, but I'm set up. I'm pretty pleased. And I encourage anyone that wants to come steal my shit, come on. Because I need ammo and I need guns. I told everybody, I'm never. This is something I've really been struggling with. I don't know if I want to talk about it on the podcast because it's scary shit. I've been reading the Gulag Archipelago. I've been reading about societies collapsing and just horrifying things. And I'm coming to grips with these things. And like I said, I'm not a doomsday prepper, although I can appreciate why you would be one. But I've been, I guess you could say fantasizing or joking around about if it did collapse, what would you do? And people don't realize how quickly they could turn to cannibalism. Super quick. If you read history, it's incredible how much it's happened. But before that, it would turn to murder. They say we're 3 meals away from a societal collapse, and that's true. You think I have not eaten breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Like, we've ran out. Oh, there's some freaked out people. Look at what happened with fucking toilet paper.
Yeah.
Imagine a real crisis.
Yeah.
So the supply chain shuts down. No, complete chaos. So I thought, to survive that would require a level of brutality that you don't want to identify with. You don't even want to think about because it's tough. And I thought, well, it's one thing to survive it, right? And then it's one thing to exist after it. Like, I don't want to be one of these survivors that rob, that set up these roadblocks. You can, if you've seen enough Walking Dead, we've seen how it works.
Or like the original Waterworld, where they're trying to rob Kevin Costner through the whole movie.
I have this fantasy that I'm going to bait people. I'm baiting them, right? Because they're coming for mine, and we're going to sabotage. It's such a silly thing. I talk to the boys about all that. We laugh about it, but it could be a reality, and it's just a funny thing. I thought, what I'll do is I'll lure people in, and we'll just take all their shit. Anyways, it's something I thought about talking about because I've been preparing for a little while. I've been, talking to them about it. Just it's peace of mind. I don't think my house is going to burn, but I got a couple fire extinguishers. Yeah. So a little bit of peace of mind to not have to leave my house for a few months is very satisfying. To know that I don't have to go out in that chaos. I don't want to jump into this podcast because it's a good one. I think people, especially nowadays, I've been thinking about sharing my experience with preparing. And I said we was going to quit, and we will quit here. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
It's been my pleasure.
Would you like to come back on?
Sure.
Would you really? Because
I mean,
I'm running out of friends. Well, I'm running out of people to talk to.
I tell you what, I would love to come back on when you get Miles.
So Miles, the reason why I haven't had two podcasts, my last two podcasts, the last one was Miles. Apparently, he lives in South Carolina. Some coworkers may or may not have gotten COVID.
Yeah.
And he had to stay at work. And then the week before that I'm really excited about this guy. He's a former, doesn't matter what he is. I don't want to give anything away. He's coming back on. Some work things happened. He couldn't make it. I shoot these on Tuesday and release them on Wednesday, and that's really not good. I've got to have a cushion. So I got to figure that out. I can't keep having these gaps, these momentary lapses of, Anyways, I want to have you back on, and I've been thinking about reoccurring guests. I know it's a hassle for you to get here, but I think there's so many things we could talk about, just ideas, and that's kind of the point of the show, is not just storytelling, but to tell some, I think your character, your personality's out there, and it's probably captivating. People are like, I got to know more about Gary Davis.
Next time it'll be easier to introduce me because you've already had me. Like,
I have.
Here's the guy with the Bionic Man.
Yes, that's true. Well, I want some, more insight. Anyways, I'm thinking about having more and more, and then narrowing down my guest list to where it's more like a show with, what would it be? A co-host almost? Like having different co-hosts? Sorry. Oh, my phone. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to shut it down right there.
All right.
What episode was it? 23?
23.